Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We may have Emilio joining us shortly. We'll see if he rolls in here late like he always is. But we got an awesome show for you guys and gals this evening as the Packers were back at practice today, albeit closed to the public. We got a lot of stuff to cover. We got a couple roster moves that took place. We've got an injury update. Jordan Love was back at the practice, so we'll talk about what he was able to do in a limited fashion. We'll also hit on a little Matthew Golden, a little Jordan Morgan, and then wrap up with a little defensive talk. So before we do all that, if you would, let's get that YouTube stuff out of the way. Hit that like button for us. Hit subscribe. If you're new here, welcome into PTA. Listen, we're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, and you're talking Packers on the daily, bringing you pregame shows, postgame shows, in-depth analysis, film breakdown, you name it. So we try to have a couple laughs along the way as well. So appreciate you making us a part of your evening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you click the bell icon so you get notified every time we go live. Tim, how we doing, buddy? As Chet nominated you for the Sideline Reporter of the Year there, sir.
See, we just said, though, we're not media members. I'm not a reporter. I just love this team. I'm obsessed, just like you guys, right? But I appreciate the love. I really do. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, let's waste no time, man. Let's get into it. See if we can stay on track this evening, man, as we get off the rails quite often. So let's start
off the rails. Did they fix this yet, Clayton, or what?
No, they ain't fixed that. It's going to be a while, man. Listen, I've already found a cat on that game that I just went ahead and changed his face to the other dude because I couldn't take it anymore, man. They butchered my boy. They absolutely butchered my boy. So for those of you listening on the pod, you're going, what are y'all talking about? We're talking about that Matthew Golden, whatever you want to call it, screen grab.
Yeah.
Man, butchered the hairline. This is in Madden 26. So if you're new here.
They let Stevie Wonder be his barber for this.
Listen,
for sure.
Not go pull it back up there, Tim. Look, you notice the front of the hairline, right? It's all jacked up, but then notice right there on the side too. Like, what is that? What?
Oh yeah,
what
it looks like the northern tip of Idaho or something going up his.
Idaho, Tim. This is a family program.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What are we doing here? So
I meant the state.
All right, let's dive into it. So we had a couple roster moves here earlier today, as Rob Domofsky had tweeted out. Go ahead and pull that down. Thank you, sir. So the Packers signed defensive lineman Devontae O'Malley and safety Jalen Simpson. They released cornerback Garnett Hollis Jr., and they also waived injured defensive lineman Keith Randolph. So again, you're dropping cornerback Garnett Hollis Jr. and defensive lineman Keith Randolph. You picked up defensive lineman Devontae O'Malley and safety Jalen Simpson. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time trying to dive into how good those players are. You guys know how it is this time of year. Is there a shot they can make the team? Yeah, there's a shot, but it's very, very slim, and these are most likely camp bodies. However, we'll see if they flash here in the final preseason week, as we should see some starters play this weekend, Tim. I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah, me too. Me and Jacob will be there. It'll be awesome. Get to see it in person. Hopefully get the ones out there a little bit, but this is just due diligence, right? We just had a safety get banged up. I'm assuming Jalen Simpson coming into the fold is just to fill the gap of Omar Brown dealing with what he's dealing with right now. So, I wouldn't read too much into this either. I think that's a great point.
Yeah. And again, we'll see, man. When it comes to these kind of signings, what it really means, guys, is the last, let's say like Garnett Hollis Jr., right? They brung him in and they just released him. I guarantee you that safety Jalen Simpson right there in that pool of players, like, should we bring in Simpson? Should we bring in Garnett Hollis? They bring in Hollis. All right, we got a good look at him. Now let's get Jalen Simpson in here, take a look at him. I don't think anybody's going to be chomping at the bit to sign Garnett Hollis Jr. if for some reason they want to try to pick him up again later. So we'll see. This is just, like you said, Tim, due diligence and just running people through the hopper here and seeing who may or may not stick. So some other news that dropped, it's not really Packer related, but I think we should follow up on this. Listen, I want to be very clear here. I am not a Jair Alexander hater. You guys know my stance. When I heard the amount of money that he was going to warrant to have him play for the Baltimore Ravens, I would love to have had him back on the Packers for $6 million, right? And I think $4 million of it guaranteed, that type of thing. I thought it was worth the risk, knowing the knee is probably still jacked up. Hey, bring him in, make sure it's incentive heavy, which that would have been, and you got an opportunity to bolster your defensive back room. Well, Tim, we heard about the injury again a couple weeks ago, and then he was back on the practice field. So here we go. Jason B. I'm not going to try to say that last name there. I'll butcher it. But Jason B. all over the Twitter. All right, there you go.
Hirschhorn, right? Jason Hirschhorn.
There you go. Sounds good. That works for me. Former Packers cornerback Jair Alexander continues to miss practice with, quote, something he's been dealing with for a few years, according to head coach John Harbaugh. Alexander had his knee drained in July. He missed 10 games in 2024 and a knee injury that eventually required surgery. And why am I bringing this up? It's not to pile on Jair. It's not the dog Jair. It's to simply say, tip your cap to Goody. Yep. I was one of the fans going, hey, man, for that price, let's get him back in here. Sounds like Goody knew what he was doing. So you got to give credit where credit's due for sure. Tim, you hate to see a great Green Bay Packer and one that was so much fun to root for. It's sounding like now, and this is on Twitter, but everybody's going, yeah, this is probably going to be his final year, most likely. So would love to see him rebound, but not looking good for job money.
No, and your heart goes out to him, right? And you hate to see this. Guys get, he's not the first guy to get his career cut short due to injury, right? We could go down the list. We don't have enough time. But yeah, you feel for him. Hopefully he can work his way back in and out. What did he play for us last year? 6 games, 7 games, something like that?
I think so, yeah, somewhere around that range.
If he can hit that mark this year in Baltimore and find the field a few times, and then, yeah, if he's just physically unable to go, maybe it's the best he just hangs it up. It's sad to say, but, love you, John, unless you're here in December against the Packers, then I don't love you on that day. That's it.
Oh, you got that right. Whether the knee's hurting or not, buddy, I hope y'all fall flat in your face when you play my Green Bay Packers. Other than that, wish you nothing but the best. Chris Casualian says injuries ruined a great talent. Sad emoji. Yeah, That's very well said. My question, Tim, and I didn't plan on asking this question. We won't spend a whole lot of time on it, but I want to get your take. Is Jair Alexander a Packer Hall of Famer?
Man.
That's tough, right?
Off the cuff, in my heart, hell yeah. Come back next year, sign a 1-day contract, take another tour, private Lambeau tour, and we'll get you in the Hall of Fame here. But I guess we'd have to look. I mean, you look at his core prime, right? Before the shoulder injury, and then, the groin and the knee, and, the laundry list of things. People always talk about the knee with Ja, and it's like, the guy's been dealing with a lot over the last few seasons.
Shoulder, the knee, everything.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
So, I don't know. But in my heart of hearts, I would say, yeah, he belongs, right?
Yeah, for me, it's tough because there's no true criteria. That's the problem I have with Hall of Fame and Team Hall of Fames is there's no true criteria. And I always
told you the criteria. It's in your heart. Do you love the guy? Do you want him?
I can't buy into that, man. But John Madden said it best. He said the criteria of greatness is can the story of said topic be told without mentioning that person or player's name? And can the story of the Green Bay Packers be told without Jair Alexander's name mentioned?
Great point.
I think it could, but I'm with you, man. As a fan of Ja, in my heart, I want to go, hell yeah, put him in the Hall. But there's other great players that's still not in the Packer Hall of Fame that's like, they deserve it before him. So I would have to say no, but I
based on that premise, right? That makes a lot of sense.
And of course, leave it up to John Madden to give the perfect explanation, right?
Speaking of Hall of Famers and GOATs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Aaron Rodgers with the super chat, not the Aaron Rodgers. He's our Aaron Rodgers said, evening PTA family, the 30th, I get to cover my first game for my school paper. Also, I'm getting deja vu of Khalil Mack with the Parsons rumors. Yeah. Listen,
I'm getting deja vu of the Max Crosby rumors when I hear
it. Right. Yeah. Ian Rappaport stirred the pot a little bit on the McAfee show earlier today. He didn't go, I doubt he's going to go to the Packers. It was kind of like, yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I do think the Packers are in the mix. Now, I want to say he pushed back a little bit on Pretty Ricky's tweet that the Packers had made an offer. Now, that's kind of there's some blurred lines there, right, Tim? Like,
Yeah. They
he
said
said,
an offer, or he said an offer was on the table, right? He didn't say who presented an offer, who
well, no,
reached
he
out to
he,
who,
he
right?
said the Packers did make an offer. He did
Oh,
say
wow.
that.
Okay. Okay.
But
That's
Ian Rappaport said, I have no knowledge of an official offer. So it sounds like the Packers probably said, hey, would you take this? And it wasn't an official offer type thing, like just filling it out, which when you put it that way, it's like, okay, they always do that, right? Like just about every team in the league typically does that. But when old Pretty Ricky on X came in with, hey, the Packers are I think they said the only team. Maybe I'm misremembering the tweet, but not that it really matters. But yeah, the Micah Parsons stuff is very interesting. Again, it depends on what you'd have to give up. People ask me a bunch on X and everything and DM me, and they're like, hey, would you trade for Micah Parsons? I mean, yeah, absolutely. What are we talking though?
right.
We got to have some kind of guideline.
Would I give up one of my top receivers and first or second or third round draft picks? Probably, I don't know,
Right. Yeah.
What does that mean for our team if we bring a guy like that in who's not getting those reps?
Right. Yeah. And for me, it's until I know some kind of guidelines on the trade. No, I mean, I heard people saying give a first, 2 seconds for Sean Gary and LVN. I was like, what the hell are we talking? What are we doing here, people? Like, this is one player. One player does not make the entire team. Now, if you can get him for a reasonable amount, like, let me put it this way. If the Cowboys called and said, will you give us a first-round pick, a first-round pick and say Romeo Doubs, or a first-round pick and say, trying to think of another player that we may be looking to let go in a contract year, someone like
Steve Walker.
Rasheed Walker. That's a good one, Tim. Even then, it's kind of like, ugh, but I'd probably do that. I think Micah Parsons worth a first-round pick because the way I always look at it is when you go into the draft, how confident are you can draft said player with your first-round pick? I'm not very confident that I could find a top 5 pass rushing edge defender with my first-round pick, knowing that we plan on making the playoffs. We're probably going to be picking at least into the 20s, right? So that's why I would be willing to give a first. But when you're talking about multiple starters and a couple of firsts and a second, this and that, just can't do it, man. Cannot do it. So
I agree.
But Aaron, thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. We appreciate you, man.
And congratulations, Aaron. That's awesome, man. Congrats on the assignment. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, man, let's move it along. So those are your roster moves, like I said, and just a little update there on Ja. I like to kind of keep my finger on the pulse in terms of, okay, how did Goody's moves work out? Not to pile on him, not to go, haha, you screwed it up, but just to kind of learn. It's all learning experience for everybody to see what worked and what didn't, right? So with that being said, let's move into the Packers practice earlier today, and more specifically the injury report, Tim. We got some new people that popped up on the injury report today. Returning to practice with the back injury was Romeo Doubs. That's great news, right? Quarterback Jordan Love, we're going to hit on him extensively here in a second. We got some clips showing you what he did there, participating in a limited fashion earlier today. So he returned. The new injuries, however, Tim, Kenny Clark, back injury. Lucas Van Ness, back injury. Aaron Banks, back injury. Offensive lineman Jacob Monk, hamstring. Wide receiver Savion Williams has a hammy. Now, that's listed by Wes Hawkowitz as a new one. I thought that was carrying over from last week, but I guess I'm wrong there. Nonetheless, those are pretty significant, man. You're talking about 3 starters,
For sure.
Now, this, to me, though, Tim, maybe I'm looking at this through rose-colored glasses. I'm looking at this like this is probably precautionary. A little tightness. Hey, guys, Aaron Banks is the one that worries me the most, Tim, because that's
not really new, right?
Right.
We knew he had a back issue when we signed him, right?
Well, he came, if I understood correctly, he came back to practice last week, and he would have played if we had played the starters. And then, of course, we sat the starters. Now, all of a sudden, it sounds like the back injury's back. No pun intended. So that's the way I'm understanding it, but I don't know. What's your take on those new injuries there? Again, I think this is probably precautionary. Like, hey, it's not good news. It can never be good news, obviously. But.
Especially not with, big O linemen and big D linemen, right? Seeing Rome with a back issue come back, that makes you feel really good, right? You know, maybe he tweaks something, you know, he's a receiver, but when you've got, you know, 6'5" plus and 300-pound plus frames and you have a back issue, that can really, really mess things up for you. So I think you're right. If they erred on the side of caution, that's good. You know, you tweak a back, it's football, right? Think how many times you're bending down and you're slamming into guys. I mean, I would think, you know, maybe next to like the ankle or the hammies, those seem to be the common injuries is tweaking your back. So hopefully it's precautionary.
Right. And the did not participates, running back Marshawn Lloyd with the hammy, defensive lineman Baron Sorrell with the knee, safety Omar Brown with the chest, safety Zane Anderson with the knee, safety Xavier McKinney with the calf, wide receiver Jaden Reed with the foot, wide receiver Dontavion Wicks with the calf, and cornerback Nate Hobbs with the knee. Nothing surprising there. We expected the 2 new injuries there with Marshawn Lloyd and Baron Sorrell, along with Omar Brown with the chest injury, of course. The other stuff is, I think those guys are going to be ready to go week 1, personally. Now, I will say this. Somebody makes a great point here in the comments. Blake B says, those are all guys in the trenches. They did a ton of 7-on-7 today. This might be a little bit of gamesmanship by Matt LaFleur and the crew, Tim, because obviously 7-on-7, you're keeping the trenches out of it, right? You're keeping the offensive lineman off the field. Maybe this was like, hey, let's give these guys a rest day, an extra rest day, since we're going 7-on-7. You know what? Let's throw them on the injury report just for craps and
yeah, we're playing chess, not checkers, right? We say that all the time. That's why you got to love Tupac LaFleur. I wouldn't put it past him at all. I mean, it's pure speculation on our part, but I love that gamesmanship, right?
No,
I mean, we're going into our last preseason game. You want to get some looks at some of these other guys. We just talked about, we have signings. We got people coming in and out of the building all the time. If you've got a guy who's tightening up or, you know, maybe feels like he tweaks something a little bit, let's just sit him out, you know?
Yeah.
I like it.
And Ed Madden makes a great point. Says, I think if they were concerned, they would be bringing in old lineman in for a look. That's a great point. Great point. So I appreciate that comment there, Ed. You in here thinking responsibly. And, of course, on the PUP list, wide receiver Christian Watson, defensive end Colin Oliver, and, of course, offensive lineman John Williams. I always forget the first name because it's so simple. So anything else you got to add to the injury report before we get into some Jordan Love talk here, Tim? Anything at all?
Colin Oliver. Hoping to see that guy in the preseason, but it's not happening. That's kind of sad, right?
That's how I feel about Savion. I'm like, such a missed opportunity, because as I think it was Wildy was saying on Wildy and Tausch earlier today, or maybe it was actually Tauscher saying it. It's like, man, you got all these wide receivers banged up. Your Jaden Reed, your Dontavion Wicks, Romeo Dobbs had the back. Been the perfect opportunity for Savion to go out there and kind of grab a little bit of that attention. And unfortunately, it just hasn't been able to work out. So we'll see, man. We want physical players, right? We want guys that are going to just run their ass off and put their face in the fan and all that stuff. But the reality is, he played college like that, and he came into the league with a torn labrum. They had to have surgery, and when you play physical, there's repercussions. You know, it's kind of like Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander played physical when he was young, hurt the shoulder, had to change his game to stay on the field and not play the run as hard. And we dogged him, myself included. When he wouldn't put his nose in there to make a tackle, I was like, come on, Jair, you're getting paid a lot of money. But when you play the game a certain way, man, injuries are going to happen. So we can't have it both ways. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you play the game anyway, injuries are going to happen. You know, we talked about that yesterday a little bit, right? You know, you can have the best, you know, athletic training department and the best doctors in the National Football League. You're still going to have guys on the injury report. It's just the nature of the beast, right?
Yep, definitely. All right, let's get into the Jordan Love talk. As he returned to practice earlier today, Matt Schneidman got this video right here, and you'll notice the wrap on the left hand here of Jordan Love as they run out onto the practice field. So, again, left hand wrapped. I was interested to see how are they going to handle this. Now, obviously, 7-on-7, typically there's a center involved with 7-on-7 is the way I understand it, because they want to still practice those snaps, right? But I was eager to see if he was going to be taking snaps, and we got some interesting footage right here, Tim, of Jordan Love, and thought this was pretty creative, man. I've watched a lot of football and watched a lot of training camps. I don't remember anybody breaking out this trick, as Ryan Wood tweeted out a video, said Jordan Love taking snaps from a stool. So as you see here, they actually got the ball sitting on a stool, and that way he can get down in the position, take the snap, and still have to grab and grip really quick and obviously let that thing go. So that was pretty interesting to me, man.
I think that's interesting too, because it's kind of a step up from the old school way. You know, you'd have your assistant kneel down and kind of hold it on his knee if you want to simulate a snap. You're dealing with a guy with a hand injury, thumb injury, finger injury, whatever. But adding it to the stool, it's like you eliminate any chance of him hanging anything up on anything. He can just grab that football and work on that release. I don't think we're worried about his throwing arm. I think if anything, they're keeping a real close eye on that support hand. Be interesting to see him handing the ball off. You know, Emilio brought that up a few shows ago. You know, what is the run game going to look like with that offhand, depending on what we're doing back there, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And again, it's just kind of interesting how they chose to do that. And of course, leave it up to Matt LaFleur and Adam Stenavich to get a little bit creative there.
Yep.
I'm sure it's not the first time that's happened. It's just,
I wonder which cameraman or whoever who lost their stool privileges for practice. You know, someone had to stand.
So this is Ryan Wood mentions the stool here again. See if we can go full screen, mute it. So here is Jordan actually holding the ball, right? Rather than the stool just holding it. You see him connect him with Romeo Dobbs here out on the practice field earlier today with some of the other drills. You know, listen, we're focused on Jordan Love, but anytime you got other players on the screen, take a peek. Look at Matthew Golden at the bottom. Watch his feet, Tim.
Oh, I told you, man.
So
Michael Jackson, smooth criminal.
And we're going to get to him here in a little bit. We're going to talk a little more on him, but yeah, that's. I'm just not used to seeing it, man. And listen, I know Romeo Dobbs is a great route runner, right? We've talked about it. Tay Wicks has got awesome footwork as well, but man, is Matthew Golden twitched up. Again, guys, watch his feet on the left side here. Just look how quick.
It's like his off the ball. It's like the first move and the release happened simultaneously almost.
Yeah.
Right here. Look at that. If you're a DB and you're playing press right there, I feel really bad for you.
Right. Good luck. Good luck pressing him, right? So as Coach says, Sudden, he is twitched up, no doubt about it. Let's go to the next one here. And here is Jordan Love dropping back and hitting Matthew Golden on the sideline. Feet in, turning it upfield. So, again, Jordan Love, we're just trying to get a good look at him. Tim, he looks very, very crisp too, man. Very clean with his delivery. Obviously, the thumb, you can't take snaps, things like that. But, man, his arm, to me, it looks like he has taken the next step with his arm this year. In camp, I mean, he's dropped several in the bucket on some long-range throws to McCole Hardman.
I caught those on X earlier when you were posting them. That was amazing just to see that progress, you know. We talked about that, right? For the last couple of seasons, we talked about he was so close, but he just had to get that touch and get that feel. You know, Jordan used to miss by a lot or miss by a little, and now he's not missing at all, it seems like. I mean, he's pinpoint right now.
Yeah. Chris, the casual Packers fanatic. I got to start calling him the right thing here now. He's changed his name on me again. If Matt LaFleur can take advantage of all, I'm going to always call him Chris the casual in. I'm sorry. You need to change it back, buddy. If Matt LaFleur can take advantage of all these weapons, the offense can be unstoppable. Here's the thing that sticks out to me, Chris, and I agree with you 100%, but protecting the football, man, that's where we struggled last year. And it's amazing, like not many people talk about it. You know, it's always talking about how the pass rush wasn't good enough or this wasn't good enough. We turned the ball over and listen, I'm gonna be honest, it was Jordan. It was Jordan, and I do chalk it up to some of the injuries and him not being able to play at the full capacity of, you know, using all of his talents. But if we cut his interceptions down just by a third, you would have won 2 more games last year, I believe. Because we remember, Tim, we went back through the close games there, and I believe the divisional games, as a matter of fact, there was at least 2 of those divisional matchups that we lost where, man, if he doesn't throw that one interception in each of those games, boy, oh boy, it's a different ball. Like with Detroit, the pick 6, right? Like that's a perfect example.
So, or we talk about the late over the middle in San Francisco, right? We all remember that one. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's one thing we also said when we talked about that was the fact that we really respected that about his game. It's kind of that gunslinger in him, right? We always talk about that killer instinct that I'm going to go ahead and try and take that shot. Or if I feel like I can do it, I'm going to try it. I think the difference is now is, like you said, the arm is there. The accuracy is coming along. And I also think his processing, I mean, you see the checks at the line, just the way he runs the huddle now, more vocal as a leader. You guys, we are all witnessing him really hitting that stride as QB1, I think. So 2025, you know, strap your seatbelts on. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
And this clip here for everybody on the podcast that can't see it, this is him hitting Tucker Kraft now on what I would consider kind of a skinny post top route. Just Tucker would be lined up as an attached Y 3-point stance and just a quick little throw. But watch Jordan's feet, Tim. Watch him reset, back, set, reset, bam, out. That's clean.
Yeah.
That's
MG
clean.
isn't the only one that's sudden and got good footwork, right?
His footwork looks way better this year, and I've been seeing it in camp all year long. Watch everybody in the chat. Watch Jordan's feet right here. He's going to drop back 1, 2, 3, set, bounce back, set, let it rip, perfect spiral, right on the money. Looking good, as Daryl says. Dart throw, yes sir.
Yep,
yes sir. So again, we just got to get that thumb healthy and play it safe. I don't want to see him anywhere near his helmet. Come, what is it? Is the game on Saturday or Sunday this week?
Saturday. Yep,
Saturday. We'll be live for a pregame show, postgame show, all that stuff for that event. Obviously, I just didn't know what day it was on exactly. After the Redneck Brawl, bro, I don't know what day it is. I'm
still recovering, right?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get back to reality. Like, did that actually happen, or was that a dream? You know, at one point too, the crowd did start chanting Jerry, like Jerry Springer, Jerry.
Oh, of course, gotta love it. So,
anyway,
I think real quick, wrapping up Jordan Love here with the thumb. You know, you talk about the stool. Here we see it again here. They're using the stool as the, substitute for him taking a snap, obviously, because of, recovery or whatever. I mean, that's going to be our first indicator. I can't wait to see Wes Hockowitz tweet Jordan Love taking live snaps from Elton Jenkins or something. It'll be a good indicator that we're getting there,
I love what Coach says here, too. That's a good layered throw. Absolutely. I mean, you could tell this is one of those, hey, a backer sitting underneath in a hook curl, just layer it right in. You ain't got to throw a rocket ball every time, right? We know Jordan can throw rocket balls. He's got the fastest clocked pass in NFL history. Of course, I understand Brett Favre fans. I got you. I think Brett could throw harder than Jordan too. I guarantee it. But the only, in terms of passes that have been clocked in the next gen era, next gen stats era, Jordan has the hardest thrown ball. I want to say it was 61 mile an hour, I believe. But
you're right. Just like Brett, you got to learn to have that touch, be able to feather it in, float it in, drop it in the bucket. And I think we're seeing it. We really are. Real time. You can see it here.
Clint asks, how hot were the ring card girls, Clayton?
Oh boy.
There's one comment that was shouted from the crowd that I wish I could say on the show. I probably could, but I know it's going to make somebody mad. Yeah, Rome wouldn't approve. I'm going to keep it to myself, but Clint, let's just say this, sir. I am so thankful for my wife, right? That I married up, and all my buddies that were there, we had our wives there, and we all agreed, boy, did we marry up. It wasn't we'll just leave it at that, okay? And
out kicking your coverage, as they say, right?
All I kept thinking is that's somebody's daughter up there. Golly. That's all I could think, Tim. All night long.
All I could think of, I was looking at the videos in our group chat, and I just kept thinking, when you guys got home, I hope you
wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
It's funny you mentioned that. We get halfway through the event. Mandy said, it's halftime. I went, how do you know? She's like, it's close enough. Turn around here. And I turn around. Put your hands out. She hit me with hand sanitizer. It's like,
love it.
Get it well beyond the wrist there, Clayton. Please, what she said. So, all right, I got you. We're good. It was a heck of an environment. So, anyway, yeah, thanks for taking us off the rails there, Clint. Appreciate you, buddy. So, here's love to Dobbs. And this one was Bill Huber had X'd this one out, and just a little curl. It might have been the same throw. We've seen just a different angle there. And again, I love that Bill Huber had the wherewithal to zoom in on Love holding the ball. You can see the brace there, or the wrap, rather. Love looks good, man. We're good to go. Just get the thumb healed up. That's what it comes down to. So,
yeah. He's probably adjusting to that, right? It's got to feel a little unorthodox. You basically got your palm, and then you've got like 4 fingers to kind of support the ball as you go into your drop back. I mean, this kid's talented. We know this. He's going to be fine, right?
Oh, he's in good shape, man. There's no doubt about it. All right, so in terms of what he did in 7-on-7s today, Ryan Wood threw a tweet out there. Jordan Love is participating in 7-on-7 drill, a rare appearance of 7-on-7 for a mat before training camp. Just fired a fastball to Malik Heath over the middle, beating Keyshawn Nixon. So, again, make a little note, Malik Heath beating Keyshawn. That's not the dog Keyshawn. It's just to say, all right, Malik Heath's still out there. Obviously, he had a rough week 1 in the preseason and looking to bounce back the rest of camp for sure. Next play here, Romeo Dobbs. I wanted to mention this real quick, Tim. Ryan Woods said Romeo Dobbs has dropped 2 passes in the first 10 period. Of course, there's also a torrential downpour right now, so context matters. So wouldn't look too much into that. And no quicker than he had tweeted that out, we got this tweet from Ryan Wood. Romeo Dobbs with a nice adjustment on a back shoulder throw from Malik Willis. Good coverage from Carrington Valentine, but a better throw and catch for about 20 yards down the left sideline. Malik Willis, to me, too, Tim, looks like he's taking a step, just based off what we've seen in practice. I know you've seen it firsthand as well. I'm really excited to see what Malik does. Hopefully we don't see him all year other than mop-up duty, but I thought, considering he wasn't playing with the starters there, and when I say starters, guys, understand this too. I've had people come at me from the Vikings fan base on X going, "Oh, you played a bunch of backups. Y'all didn't do anything." No, their starters were in. Idiot. Don't know what. It's just amazing how quick people are to prove their ignorance. But Malik Willis going out there and leading the charge with the backup offensive line, essentially, with the exception of Jordan Morgan, who's competing for left tackle, obviously. And Tim went out there with none of the top receivers and played. I thought he played pretty decent, me personally. I thought he managed pretty well. So
to me, that says everything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that shows you he's a gamer. I mean, we've seen him do it with the starters, right? Got us some wins last year. It's one thing to go, to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, however many levels on the depth chart there are right now with the roster size we have, and work with these guys and still find success. I think you're right. We've said it before that there's probably more than a handful of teams that, would love to have Malik Willis as their starter right now. And got to feel good about having a backup quarterback like that behind Jay Money. So love it.
Yeah, Rob Domofsky tweeted out, just to wrap up the Jordan Love segment here, Love completed 9 of 12 passes with 1 interception. That was Javon Bullard. We'll get to that in a minute. During an 8-minute 7-on-7 period, he took every rep of that drill. So Matt LaFleur really kept him out there for the entirety of that 7-on-7, which I love. Get as much work in as you possibly can, for sure. Yep. And keep that one marked for me, Tim, because we're going to talk Bullard and Evan Williams here in a little bit. What I'm going to do is keep this. This will kind of wrap up the Jordan Love segment, and then we'll come around to the defense on the backside of the show. I want to talk about those two guys because they sound like they had a pretty good day in practice as well. Is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of Jordan Love before we move on to Matthew Golden? Anything at all?
No, just hoping there's no setback, right? Because that can be a finicky thing. And yeah, it's non-throwing hand, but like I said, I want to see how he looks in some of the, the handoffs and things like that, taking the snap. Because, we love Jordan, man, but we can't have a fumble or a botched exchange in week 1 against Detroit. So if you can't secure the snap, you know what I mean? I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but that's where my head kind of goes, and I'm sure he'll be fine. But, all it takes is that weird little tweak, and all of a sudden you're kind of back where you started. So hopefully all is well, because they did that surgery right away. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, as Daryl says, Jordan Love got this. Completely agree, Daryl. Completely agree. All right, Tim, let's move on to the Matthew Golden talk. There's a little bit of Jordan Love in here as well, right? But Ryan Wood tweeted out, in 7 versus 7, Jordan Love throws a perfect pass to back left corner end zone to Matthew Golden in double coverage against Javon Bullard and Evan Williams. Pretty ball for about a 15-yard touchdown. Matthew Golden, man, I can't say enough about him, dude. He's just it's been one of those camps that the time that I've been a Packer fan, and understand this too, guys. Like I've been a Packer fan since around 2003, and when I say that, Tim, I always think that's probably de-edifying for me, right? Like people go, "Oh, he's only been a Packer fan since 2003," and then I looked up the other day, I'm like, it's actually 22 years, a couple of decades. So we've been following the team pretty close for a while.
That's right.
But I started following training camp and really diving into the game of football around 2010. I mean, like getting embedded in the X's and O's and trying to learn it. Like if I had to go out and coach a game, if I had to go out and call plays, if I did that, I want to get as close to game ready as possible for that, just to kind of take your fandom to a different level, if that makes sense. I know that's very nerdy, but that's just, as Mandy will tell you, my wife will tell you, man, when I get something on my mind, it's like, she said, there's no gray area. There's no warm. It's hot or you're cold. You either would do anything for said person or you can't even stand to look at them. There's nothing in between. That's kind of where I'm at. So same way with Fanning here, but been watching the Packers for a long time. I remember when they drafted Javon Walker, and he was kind of, wow, this first round pick, he's supposed to be everything. And obviously that didn't pan out. I mean, Greg Jennings has come through. Jordy Nelson's come through. Randall Cobb has come through camps. I mean, you name it. Devontae Adams. This is the first time since I've been a Packer fan that since day one, Matthew Golden is like, damn, this dude looks different. This dude looks like, Devontae, there was drop issues, right? Jordy was kind of buried on the depth chart. He had world-class speed for a guy of his stature and everything. It was, you could see the tools and the traits. You knew he was going to be good, but he didn't just absolutely blow up his first year and that first year in camp either. This is different, man. This is so different. Randall Cobb, same thing. Like Randall Cobb, all these guys contributed day one. Don't get me wrong. But Matthew Golden just looks like this guy's it. He's got it. And part of me is like, am I putting too much pressure? Not that he's listening to the show. Obviously he's not. I mean, I don't know why people are in here right now, to be honest with you, but I'm just simply saying that.
Don't worry. Nobody's listening anyway.
Are my expectations starting to get too high, Tim? You know what I mean? Or should we just say, you know what, let's just go all in. If he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. But everything we've seen so far, dude's a real deal. Seems like.
You see my edit. I had to put it on the screen. You know how I feel.
Oh yeah,
I'm all in too. I mean, if you can't see it by now, I'm praying for you. Really,
yeah,
generational talent here for sure.
Give me another one. Give me the Matt LaFleur with the. I almost want you to. You know what? Since we're talking Matthew Golden, give me the Madden screenshot. Heck with it. Let's do it. All right. So this was on the McAfee show. Okay, earlier today, and this is Darius J. Butler, right? One of the, I think it was Bill Belichick. He played for Belichick for a little bit and then went to Indy, obviously, later in his career. A DB that played safety and corner, Belichick said was one of the smartest players that he had ever coached. Okay, so this is Darius J. Butler, and he's talking to Harry Douglas. If you guys don't remember Harry Douglas, he played for the Atlanta Falcons. He was a wide receiver, excellent wide receiver, right? Now he's covering college football. Listen to what he had to say about Matthew Golden, because again, I'm kind of like, all right, am I going too deep in here and completely fanboying out over Matthew Golden, or is he the real deal? Listen to what Harry Douglas had to say about it.
Going to have to get covered. A lot of rookie wide receivers. I know you're tapped into the college football game and obviously NFL. A lot of rookie wide receivers going to be on the board. Travis Hunter, Matthew Golden out to Green Bay, Ibuka down in Tampa Bay, T-Mac in Carolina. Who do you, I guess, expect the most out of this year early on? I think only Golden I would expect to probably be wide receiver one, and maybe T-Mac down in Carolina. The other guys have other counterparts, but who's kind of in that best position that you expect the most production going into this year?
I'm going to go with Matthew Golden for Green Bay because finally, Jordan Love has a number one wide receiver. This is a guy that for the last 6 games at Texas last year, he led Texas in receiving yards, and he was their big play guy. SEC championship, big games down the stretch. It was Matthew Golden that Quinn Ewers went to time and time again. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. He has the size, he has the speed, he has the explosiveness. He's a hands catcher. He's strong at the catch point as well. So I'm really looking forward to him taking the top off and also intermediate on crucial downs, 3rd and 3 to 5, 3rd and 6 and 7, running that slant, catching the ball strong with his hands, not worried about the safety hitting him. Looking forward to Matthew Golden. Here's another chess piece guy that I'm looking at too.
All right, so there you go. That was Harry Douglas again on the Pat McAfee show talking about Matthew Golden. Tim, Darius J. Butler gave him several options, right? And was like, what do you think about this guy, that guy, this guy? Who sticks out to you? The one he led off with, Matthew Golden. And he talked about the very thing that we hit on when we drafted Matthew Golden, was this guy his play is ascending as he's entering the league. He seemed to get better as his final season in college went along, and he played his best football when the season was on the line, the SEC championship, right? He just played his best football in some of those larger stages. Isaiah Bond obviously came over to Texas to be the number one. Matthew Golden snatched it from him by the end of the year. So to hear Harry Douglas, again, I think he was a very good wide receiver in the league. He knows what it takes to be a wide receiver at the National Football League level. And then you've also got Darius J. Butler, who knows what it takes to cover great wide receivers. For both of them to bring him up, and then Harry Douglas to choose Matthew Golden in that specific segment, it made me feel a lot better about fanning out here lately about Matthew Golden.
Right. It kind of reinforces your gut instinct about him. And then I think about just watching his process out there too. We always talk about Rashawn Gary, right? And how you can just see when that man walks onto a football field, it's different. His whole process, the way he moves, the way he goes about his preparation. That's right. Bang Gary, right? Well, that's Matthew Golden on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe a little less intense, but intense in his own right, in his own way. For a guy with this much talent and ability, it's really refreshing to see that he's not, a prima donna, and he's not full of himself and, worrying about all the things that have nothing to do with the game. It seems like Matthew Golden is a student of the game, and it shows in the way he plays. That's why we are high on him right now, even though he's a rookie, and, we're chomping at the bit for week 1 against Detroit, because I can't wait to see him. But I think we got one here, and I don't think there's any reason any of us should temper expectations or feel bad about being excited about Matthew Golden, because I think he's going to be a star.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because everybody I haven't seen anybody that's like, hey, you're off base here. It seems like we all are seeing and hearing the same thing coming out of camp, and it feels different. Like Jerry says here in the chat, says, I feel I might be too optimistic too, Clay. It's like we're a little afraid of getting hurt here. Like, okay, are we just going too far into the deep end too quick? But man, listen, we talk about on this show when people underperform. We talk about it on this show when things don't go the right way. We should be allowed to talk about it when somebody, seems to flash and look the part. Like Ed Madden said, Steve Smith Sr., another great wide receiver, right? He had Golden as his top receiver in the entire draft. I'm going to be honest, Tim, when he said that, I rolled my eyes. I'm like, come on, man. You got Ted McMillan. You got some of these other huge playmakers. What are we talking about here?
I was there too. Remember, I was down on Golden because of his size. Mm-hmm. I'll admit to it too. I was all about Jaden Higgins, right? And here we are, ecstatic that we probably have the best receiver out of that draft, arguably the best receiver in the draft class.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, Steve Smith Sr. Having Golden number 1 is just another. We got Harry Douglas. You got Steve Smith Sr. You got all these. I remember when they drafted them too, right? Like there was nobody on the panel was like, I don't agree with this. There were several people like, that's going to be the pick. The Packers love this dude. So, and the other thing I'll say before we wrap up this Golden segment here is, think of all the receivers that the Packers have drafted, guys. Think about this. You've got, Christian Watson, great wide receiver. Obviously, got to stay healthy, right? And I think this is gonna be the year once he comes back from the ACL. We go, okay, that's finally fixed. Great receiver, took him in the 2nd round. Jaden Reed, great receiver. He's led the Packers in receiving yards, catches, and I think touchdowns the last 2 years. 2nd round pick. I think we would all agree Romeo Doubs has been a good receiver, right? Very good receiver. He was what?
I just caught the ball.
He was a 4th or a 5th round pick. I'm trying to remember. You guys correct me in the chat there. So a little bit later round pick. Go back a little bit further, Tim. You got Jordy Nelson, 2nd round pick. I believe Greg Jennings was a 2nd round pick. I believe, trying to think, Randall Cobb's 2nd round pick, if I remember correctly.
What round was Donald Driver picked in?
7th, right? Devontae Adams, 2nd round pick. And why am I mentioning this? Guys, this is the first time. When you hear it's the first time they drafted a receiver in the 1st round since however long ago it was, 2003, whatever it was, people hear that and go, okay, well, my mind immediately goes to, we have never drafted a receiver that we actually had a 1st round grade on, right? There's a chance that Christian had a 1st round grade, but it's obvious it wasn't a high enough grade to pull the trigger in the 1st round. You waited till the 2nd and with all the other guys. So we shouldn't be surprised because we've hit on all those receivers outside of the 1st round. And now if Goody sees this and goes, that dude's worthy of a 1st round pick, he's going to be a tier ahead of these other guys. So it's really exciting, man. Really, really exciting. So again, I'm ready to get hurt again. You know what I mean? That's the way it goes. So that's going to do it for hour 1, though. For you, all you wonderful men and women listening, on the podcast. We appreciate y'all more than you know. You're the lifeblood of what we do in here. We know that you're listening every day, and we try to do our best to illustrate or paint a picture for you guys and gals so you can understand what we're seeing on the live YouTube stream. We really appreciate you. And we'll be back here on the other side for hour 2. We hope you come back. See you then.
For those of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour 2, Tim. We're going to kick off hour 2 with the real stuff here. All right, the real stuff. And by the way, you could tell that there's a live game going on because now we're getting hit with spam bots. That's the way that works. So
I know, man. Get the rocket launcher ready, man. Let's go.
Yeah, you got Washington and Cincinnati just kicked off as why. So anyway, let's do some kicker talk, Tim. Bang. Brandon McManus in the rain today, Tim. In the rain. Hit from 33, hit from 44, hit from 45, hit from 46, hit from 47, and hit from 49. Did not miss a kick all day. He's now 64 of 67 during live periods in camp. Oh, by the way, Tim, they said he was out there punting a little bit today, too. That's a true story.
And you wonder why I call him Brandon McMoney McManus. This guy is just a machine. And, oh, yeah, by the way, why not? Why not give us a backup option as a emergency punter if we need? I absolutely love it. I forgot if it was Wes Hockowitz. Somebody tweeted earlier about that. Like, oh, he just, got bored of draining all these field goals and decided, maybe I'll see if I can punt, It's like the guy's just good at what he does, and it's a blessing to have him here. And I'm glad they extended him, and, we don't have to worry about place kicking for at least the immediate future, for sure.
Yeah, maybe he's about to bridge the gap to that drop kick. You remember the old school drop kick?
Yeah.
Goes? Maybe he's about to pull that out of the bag.
Remember Tommy Brady did one in a game once. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember. Who was it? It was for the Patriots. I don't know if it was Tom Brady, but it was Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie.
Oh yeah, before that, Flutie did one too. Yeah.
Yeah, Flutie was, man. He was a lot of fun to watch for sure. So, Coach Lynn laughing at us because we got kicker talk. All right, we'll wrap it up, Coach. Sorry. So let's move it along here. Rasheed Walker, this was pretty funny. You guys know Anthony Belton kind of lost his mind in that preseason game the other day. If you'll remember, with all the penalties, the clip of him getting the personal foul out of bounds, Tim, I got to be honest with you, I didn't mind it. It was preseason, and I kind of enjoyed it. It was just like, it reminded me of Josh Sitton. Josh Sitton was one of those just absolute wildcats that, hey, you got to kind of harness him a little bit. And hearing the stories of the pranks and stuff that he, had in the locker room and just how straightforward he was the one who coined the phrase, or at least in the Packers locker room, said if you want to know what it's like to switch sides of the offensive line and block, go home and wipe your rear end with the opposite hand. That's our boy Josh Sitton. But Belton, I seen that personal foul and I went, kind of reminds me of Sitton right there. I like it. So with that being said, you can't have 5 penalties in the game. Now you had 5 penalties in the half. And then he cleaned it up in the second half. Well, as you can see here, John Miller from NBC 26 says Packers left tackle Rasheed Walker. He was basically talking about Anthony Belton, who had the 5 penalties. And listen what Rasheed had to say in terms of advice and how he helped our boy Anthony Belton there in the second half.
Everybody was saying something to him. I feel like he got the message. I think I just gave him a snack. So, kind of clear his mind, just throw him a snack.
What was the snack?
Clementine. I got a piece of my Clementine. Like, man, just eat this Clementine, man. Just refocus. It's all good. And that's when he had a good second half. So, everybody.
So, Tim, the reason I'm showing this, first of all, pretty good laugh, right? Got to get a little pop out of the reporters there. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I know I mentioned it last night. I'm a little concerned, like, is Rasheed in a bad place? Like, he's maybe a disgruntled. We know he got threw off the practice field, or he was forced to run a lap at that practice, this and that. Seemed like he's in a pretty good place right there. It kind of comes across as one of those locker room guys where it's like, yeah, that's the dude when the bullets are flying, so to speak. You want somebody like that kind of, hey, bring it. Joe Montana, Super Bowl, right? Everybody, they're getting ready to go down and get the game-winning drive for the 49ers back in the whatever it was, 80s, early 90s, whenever it was. And they said that everybody's like, kind of quiet in the huddle, and he looks over and goes, is that John Candy? John Candy was up in the stands. He's like, is that John Candy? And everybody was just like, this dude is all right. We're good. Man. Let's go out.
Cool Joe, right? Yeah. You have to be. And you spoke about being made to run the lap. That was the day that Rob Westerman was gracious enough to give me a sideline pass, and it happened right in front of us. You know, we watched that happen. Kind of a galvanizing moment on that practice field because we saw a lot of teammates run that lap with him. Now you fast forward to what we're seeing now. I wonder if that's where that came from. Like, hey man, chill out. Let's maybe if someone got a hold of Sheed a little sooner in that practice and had a conversation like that with him, maybe he's not running a lap in the first place, right? So maybe that was a leadership moment here. I think it's Rasheed Walker learning from experience that he dealt with when he was frustrated and doing a little extra at practice and a rep. Now he's seeing a rookie do it in a game. Hey man, let's chill out, right? It's good leadership. I think it kind of puts that your mind to rest a little bit, Clayton, like you said, because we were just having that conversation, yesterday or the day before that we weren't kind of sure where Sheed's head was at. Did he want to be here? Is he disgruntled or not? You look at this clip, he doesn't seem disgruntled to me at all.
Yeah. Greg Rice says we need that sound bite too. I agree. Stacy Mitchell says, I love it. I just gave him a snack. That's the one we need. I just gave him a snack. We got to have that. So for sure. So again, why am I bringing that up? Because I think that stuff's important, man. To kind of, it was just good to see Rasheed Walker in a good place there. And again, I think as it sits right now, Tim, he's going to be our starting left tackle. I believe that right now. That could change in the next week or so, right? But as it sits right now, that's the direction I would go. And then have Jordan Morgan ready to plug into left tackle next year when Rasheed Walker hits the market. I just don't know if there's enough place within the structure of how you want to model your roster for Rasheed to be on this team next year as well. But if you guys go over to our Patreon page, I put a minute 30 together of just clips from the Colts game there of Jordan Morgan and both pass blocking and run blocking. You guys want to go check it out. So I did a little write-up here, and you can check that out, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. And I've been adding to it a little bit as the week went along here, Tim. So just a quick refresher. Love that Rasheed, love that soundbite. And again, I think Rasheed Walker is a great pass blocker. I think his weak spot is run blocking. It's not that he's horrible at run blocking. It's just, that's the part of his game he needs to improve. And it seems like he's not improved it, in my opinion, like to where if he figures that out, he's going to be an all-pro tackle because he's that good at pass blocking, right? Yep. So I don't want people to take that the wrong way. However, this is just preseason. But Jordan Morgan against the starters there in Indy, right, last week, or this past week, I should say, 88.2 pass blocking grade, right? So in 2 weeks of the preseason, 76.5, 74.6 overall PFF offensive grades. Pass blocking, 88, 88.2. The run blocking grabs my attention big time with a 66.9 and a 64.9 in those two games. 0 penalties, right? And then our buddy Baz put this tweet out I wanted to mention. Jordan Morgan stacking success at left tackle this preseason. Tim, he's got 61 snaps. He's given up 0 pressures, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 hurries, and 0 penalties. This is against starting defenders on the Jets and Colts. Have you? So
sounds like a guy that I wouldn't mind watching my 6. I don't know how you feel, Clay. And look at that profile pic too. What's not to love about that? Does that look like a guy who can't block? I mean, my goodness, that's a get off the bus guy, right? Like you say, Clayton.
Yeah, 6'6", 320.
Yeah, man. Let's go. Hey, anytime Jordan Morgan wants to, go out for a daddy soda or something, I'm buying for sure.
You sure you can afford that, Tim? You got good credit?
Hey, I got okay credit.
There you go. Coach Lynn in the chat said Morgan has answered the bell. And that's what it comes down to, right, Coach? It's like everything he's asked to do, the guy's done it. He's done it. And if you want to argue, well, he hasn't looked good at guard, I agree. But he played left tackle all through college. He played left tackle all through high school. Like, that's his position, right? He kicks over to left tackle. And what did I tell you the other day, Tim? I think I put a tweet out, and I said he shows patience. He doesn't panic. He's got great footwork, right? Well,
and you were talking about the hand technique too, setting that right arm almost to help with his base and his, mobility.
Yeah. You could just tell it's not new to him. Obviously it isn't. We all know that, but he's just like, wow, he looks extremely comfortable. Well, hearing Mark Tauscher talk about it, I think it was today. And what did he say? He didn't say patience, but what was the word he used? He used a specific word, but he basically picked up on the same thing. There's no panic at all. And he talked about how smooth he was in the transition of passing off those stunts, right? We showed where he passed off the end to the guard, kicked over and got the tackle off the stunt. Then we showed another clip where the end crashes in. He gets a quick punch on him, recognizes, just in a split second, they're blitzing a corner off the edge, pops back out, picks up the cat, washes him right around the quarterback. It's like, damn. And Rasheed Walker's a great pass blocker. And I know this is just 2 preseason games, but you see it now. You see what's going on there with the whole the coaches going, yeah, let's open up a competition. Again, as it sits right now, I want to be very clear. I would choose Rasheed to play left tackle and have Jordan Morgan play right guard. That would be my pick. Okay. However, as we always say, Tim, sometimes injuries sort this thing out for us, right? 2 things. If Rasheed Walker is indeed hurt and it's significant and maybe he can't start the season as a starter, Jordan Morgan's going to kick in the left tackle. Well, if Jordan Morgan or if Rasheed Walker's good to go at left tackle, and God forbid Aaron Banks' back is bothering him to where he can't start week 1, you could put Jordan Morgan at left guard, and that's way more comfortable for him on the left side as opposed to right guard. So if that were the case, and let's just say, and I hope this doesn't happen, I have no reason to believe it will happen. I think it's all precautionary. But if Aaron Banks isn't starting week 1, and you got Rasheed Walker, Jordan Morgan, Elton Jenkins, and then at right guard, Sean Ryan, right tackle, Zach Tom, Anthony Belton as the backup swing tackle, or what have you, I feel pretty darn good about that, man. I really, really do.
I agree with that. My head's spinning through that as you're saying that. It's like there's even a scenario if, we have to kick Sean Ryan to center and Big E back to left guard or whatever. You don't necessarily feel like you're reinventing the wheel. These guys are familiar and have played in those spots. And then you couple that with the progress that we're seeing from Jordan Morgan. I agree, man. I feel good about our O-line. And I think Big Escalade's going to get it together. Like you said, he's got a role on this team. I believe that, whether that's a backup or a swing tackle, however you want to look at it. He's going to play his way through these learning experiences and probably really progress really nicely. But yeah, I think the one outlier would be what if Sheed Walker is a go and he plays awesome like he did the last couple of seasons for us, and he steps it up in the run blocking. And now all of a sudden we've got to have this conversation because now we can't, look at the downside of Sheed, being a little bit subpar when it comes to the run blocking, at least grading out according to PFF. But I think it's writings on the wall. Jordan Morgan is probably the long-term plan at left tackle, right?
Yeah, I think he definitely is. I really do. And again, it's no knock on Sheed, but I think the way the Packers are looking at it is, hey, look, Jordan Morgan will be our left tackle of the future. You got him on the rookie contract, albeit a first-round contract, but still it's pennies on the dollar for what top tackles are making. If he goes out there and proves he's a top 32 tackle or, let's say a top 20 left tackle, man, it's money well spent. You let Rasheed hit the market. He'll get paid pretty handsomely. You'll most likely get a comp pick out of him, potentially a 3rd-round pick. So it essentially turns into a trade, right? Now, if there's a chance that teams are interested in Rasheed Walker, you could try to get a little cute, hit him with a franchise tag, and then trade him, that type of thing, to get better compensation. I just don't know if teams will go for that, knowing that, okay, the Packers aren't going to keep him on the roster for a franchise tag. You know what I mean? Just feels that way. I could be wrong. They could announce a deal tomorrow that Rasheed Walker's got an extension for $10 million per. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm just saying you can't pay him over $20 million when you're already paying Elton Jenkins, you're already paying Jordan Morgan, you're already paying Zach Tom, or not Jordan Morgan, but Elton Jenkins, Zach Tom. Those are your 2 that are already getting paid, pretty handsomely, along with Aaron Banks. Okay, so now if your plan is to move on from Elton Jenkins next year, you could re-sign Rasheed this year for $20 million per. Move on from Elton next year. Now you got to find your center, whether that's Zach Tom or you want to re-sign Sean Ryan to a decent deal. That's obviously well below top money. That could be the case as well. So, but yeah, I agree, Coach. I think he has answered the bell, man. I think he's done everything we've asked him to do. So, with that being said, listen, it's important to have good blocking up front, Tim. And I know people are kind of aggravated with the whole Marshawn Lloyd situation, right? I'm not overly concerned about the Marshawn Lloyd thing. And the main reason is because of Emmanuel Wilson. Listen, I'm excited about Lloyd and to see what he can do when he's healthy. Don't get me wrong. He's probably going to start on IR where you got to wait at least 4 weeks before you activate him. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting. But I think we've got one of, if not the best backup running backs in the league. Look at this that went out from Carson Fowler. He posted a sideline or an end zone angle of this Emmanuel Wilson run from the preseason game the other day. Watch this physicality here from our boy Emmanuel Wilson. Look at this, guys. Watch him. He's going to give him a little hezzy and bang.
Bang.
Oh, dude. Let's go. And that's not the first time he has done that, man. That dude, I'm so excited to see him and Josh Jacobs in year 2 together. And again, his big weak spot was exactly what you've seen right here, catching the ball out of the backfield, right?
Yeah.
And just absolute truck stick there. I can't loop it for too long, but I want to get your take on this, man. Because again, we want an awesome offensive line, don't get me wrong, but this right here, this is going to help that offensive line more than they could imagine, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to that point too, like I remember Emmanuel Wilson kind of struggling with pass pro and picking up the blocks sometimes too, as a rookie, and he's improved that drastically. And catching this ball out of the backfield, you love to see the yak yards, right? Kind of reminds me of a little bit of Tucker Kraft here, not being afraid to just lower the boom on the sideline. You love to see it, man. And of course, he gets up like nothing happened, right? I just love it.
I love what Coach Lynn says here, too. I love the burst after the catch. Watch this defender right here completely misjudge the speed and the burst right there, So, love it, man. I
also respect the fact that he didn't try to cut back in, which a lot of backs have a tendency to do when they're running up the sideline. You try to cut it back in towards the middle, and you don't necessarily pick up extra yards, and sometimes you get blown up and cough up the football. So great ball security there, too, in that clip of E. Wilson.
I believe there are several teams in the league, that Emmanuel Wilson will be running back one on.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's not a hot take at all. I really do.
Sure.
So, completely agree, though, Coach, the burst after the catch there. All right, Tim, let's shift gears from offensive line and a little Emmanuel Wilson talk to defense. I know you're excited about this. We had a couple plays earlier today in camp practice I just wanted to highlight. Ryan Wood said Evan Williams closes practice cutting in front of Tucker Kraft in the end zone to intercept Jordan Love behind the defense. Jeff Hafley raises his arms in triumph over gesturing his satisfaction to the Packers offense. So rubbing it in a little bit on the floor there, Jeff Hafley is. But Evan Williams obviously having another good camp. We seen this last year. I think Evan Williams is going to be one of those players, Tim, that he has the potential to be a great player, but he's already very good. And I really think that the more time he spends with Xavier McKinney in that back, in the back of the defense or the back line, whatever you want to call it, in the safety room, I think this dude could go on to be, when we're ready to move on from Xavier McKinney, just the attitude that Evan Williams has, let's say 3-4 years down the road, if we decide, McKinney's best football is behind him, let's move on from him, get another young whippersnapper in here, and you got Evan Williams ready to kind of lead the charge in that safety room, man, I think he's going to be a great player, man. Right now, very good, potential to be great, and who knows, man, maybe all pro level.
Absolutely. He's building on that stellar rookie season, right? He's continued to do it. I mean, he shocked a lot of us. We were all happy with the draft pick, obviously. We saw the tape at Oregon, right? Yep. But, I mean, I don't think any of us were expecting him to be, it's kind of like we were talking about Matt Golden, right? Just look polished as a rookie. Made a few mistakes, was a little raw at times, but developed really nicely. And now I totally agree with that sentiment, Clayton, that, if we are at the point where we need to make a change and it's time to move on, maybe Evan Williams is your guy. That's who slides into that captain of the back end of that defense kind of role. He's certainly built for it, and you see it out there on the field. I just really another great pick by Goody and developing really nicely. So shout out to all you Goot haters out there.
Mm-hmm. No doubt, man. He nailed this. I mean, he revamped this safety room in one off season.
Yep.
It's wild to think about. And again, I always laugh and say, man, oh man, somewhere Joe Barry madder than hell going, boy, if I'd have had this safety room, I think I'd still be in Green Bay. I believe that. And if you don't believe me, then if you disagree with that sentiment, then I'm going to ask you a question. Which would you rather march out there as your starting safeties? Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams, or would you rather have Jonathan Owens and Darnell Savage? My God. Like, that's why I have a little bit of grace towards, the other thing too, we replaced Devondre Campbell with our boy Adrian Cooper. It's like, God, and I don't believe it was the scheme that made these guys great. I think these are great football players. I really, really believe that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Cheese Mode Activated said earlier, good to see Bullard making plays this week. And I had marked that earlier, Tim, because, obviously our boy Evan Williams making plays, but Javon Bullard also made that play that we talked about earlier. I want to wrap back around with it and wrap up the show with it because Jordan Love goes deep middle to McCole Hardman at 7-on-7, and Javon Bullard picks it. So it kind of made me think the fact that Nate Hobbs is out right now, right? Nate Hobbs is out, but McKinney's out as well. He didn't specify if Bullard was playing safety or not. I imagine he was playing safety, and it would have been one of those things that you're probably in a cover 3 or cover 6, something like that, and Bullard gets in there and gets the interception. So I'm not as hard on interceptions in training camp practice because the guys are taught, hey, push the envelope. Let's see what we can get, right? To me, it's a more of a testament when the defense picks a pass off in training camp as opposed to a quarterback being a bad decision maker, if that makes sense. Because that's the time you want to test. So.
Exactly, because I saw a couple other posts about the same play, and it just sailed on him, I guess, right? Is this the one? It was like an overthrow, and then
I think so.
Bull was right there and just picked it off. But either way, it's not a knock on Javon Bullard. I'm all for any highlights that have, him and coverage involved in it, right? We talked about him taking that step in his coverage skills, and I don't care if a ball was slightly overthrown or tipped. I mean, if you're making the play, that's all that matters, right? You love to see it.
And you love to see it, Tim, because Bullard's strength is, in my opinion, every player's got their niche, right? They've got their superpower, if you will. Or maybe that's, exaggerating a little bit for all players, but there's something that, hey, that's what they do really well. And as a coach, without being predictable, you want to put them in a position as consistently as possible to do what they do well. To me, Bullard, it's slot, playing the run, attacking bubble screens, attacking smoke screens, kind of playing in the box, so to speak, as a slot defender and attacking the underneath stuff. Not being out in space and trying to read the 2 to the 3. All right, in this match set, I got to take the corner, or I've got to let the crosser go and pick up the 1 on the dig, all that stuff, right? It's more of playing closer to the ball, helping with the run fit, attacking the screens underneath, what he does well. That's why it's nice to see him get a deep middle interception here, because that's something that he's not done, relatively well. So,
exactly.
But I'm with you, Cheese Mode Activated. It is good to see Bullard making plays for sure. And then one last thing to hit here. Anything else you got on Xavier McKinney and Javon Bullard? Anything at all, Tim, that you want to add?
I did see a comment here. I don't know if you want to – let's bring up J. Cole here. Let McKinney retire a Packer. I 100% agree with that. I'm sure Clayton does too.
Yes.
I think all your point was in bringing that up was, look at what we just dealt with Jair. I don't think, any of us fans really wanted him gone. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of Ja haters in the fan base that were sick of the injuries or whatever, but sometimes you play this game and you get a long, illustrious career. Sometimes you get 5 good seasons and it's time to hang it up. I think the only thing that would, prevent McKinney from retiring as a Packer would be something like that. And I don't see that happening. So what do you think, Clay? I mean, I'm with J. Cole, man. I say keep him, I don't think he's a guy that's going to push the envelope when it comes to signing another contract either. I don't think he's going to get overly greedy. I think as long as you come with a respectable offer, he'd probably sign, right?
Yeah. So with I love 2 over this comment there. We'll get to it in a minute, maybe. But J. Cole, let McKinney retire a Packer. Here's the thing that I always run this through the filter of, Jay, is if you're telling me let McKinney retire a Packer playing at the level he's playing right now, absolutely. If he's still playing at this level in 4 years, you give him a contract extension. So please don't take that the wrong way, what I said earlier. I'm simply saying that as he gets through his contract to year 4, and he's 30 years old or older, I'm not sure. How old is he right now? Somebody help me in the chat. How old is Xavier McKinney right now? Because he's got 3 years left on his deal.
I think he's 27 or 28, right?
So it's going to be right around that.
Don't quote me on that. Somebody help us out.
I think he turned 27. If not, he's 26. He's 29 right now? That can't be right. No.
That's his jersey number. That's not his age, right?
That is true. He is 20. Yeah, that's correct. 27, Drew. Thank you. And Bates, too. Appreciate you guys. So he's 27 years old. So he's going to be turning 30 as his contract expires. Now, 2 things. First of all, do we think his play is going to fall off as he hits 30? Historically speaking, right, we would have to all agree a large majority of NFL players do drop off at the age of 30, right around that mark, okay? So if he's still playing at a high level, now you got to make the decision. Do you extend him knowing that any day now his play could drop off and now you're on the hook for that money, right? Yeah. Now, it depends on the structure of the contract as well. Now, let's say they draft another Evan Williams top in the next year or 2, and you go, wow, we got to get this guy on the field. And Evan Williams continues to progress. You could see how they're going to be able to save money by letting McKinney walk in 4 years, 3 years, whatever it is, and moving on to the next thing.
Yep.
Right?
Because it's a business, right? At this level, it's a business, and you got to make those decisions.
So, again, I want to be very clear. If he's playing at the level he's playing right now, I would love to have him back, on another contract in 3 years. But if he takes a slight step back as he's approaching that final year of the contract, the writing's on the wall. Here's the other thing, Tim, precedent, right? Precedent. Yeah. So what have we done in the past? Guys, you guys remember a guy by the name of Charles Woodson?
Yeah.
Pro Football Hall of Famer. We let him walk. You guys remember that, right?
Yep.
And what did he do? He went to Oakland at the time.
The Raiders.
And he played damn good football as a safety for Oakland. I want to say he made the Pro Bowl that year. I'm pretty sure he might have, I don't know if he's all pro, but I think he went to the Pro Bowl. So he had a good year. But then after that, what happened? That's a Hall of Famer. So I don't think anyone is sitting here saying that Xavier McKinney, based off what we've seen so far in his career and what we've seen of Charles Woodson's career, that Xavier McKinney is on the same level as Charles Woodson when they were both in their prime. And I understand Charles Woodson, when we went to our nickel in Dom Capers' 34 zone fire blitz, scheme, he would play the star. He would play the nickel, right? And then he would kick back to safety sometimes when we play the base. Most of the time, he'd just go to the outside as a corner, though. So with that being said, we got rid of, I think somebody said it right there. Let's see, Marco Day. Oh yeah, 1 year too early for Woodson. Definitely. But again, Mark, right? This is the precedent in Green Bay, whether it was Ted Thompson and now Brian Gutekunst. You let guys, you're willing to part ways 1 year too early rather than 1 year too late. So the precedent is there. If you've got the pieces in place to replace him when you get to that point, great. But if he's still playing good football, I'm all about keeping him around. I just, that's, and you're talking about an outstanding individual too, Tim. This dude's a leader. I don't want to say a quiet leader, but he's one of those guys that's like, he's not going to run around and try to rah-rah the guys in a fake way and turn 2 or 3 people off in the locker room or piss a coach off, right? Which Woodson did, by the way. Woodson came in, and him and Mike McCarthy almost came to blows at first training camp. McCarthy had to kick him out of practice because he didn't want to be in Green Bay. That's a true story. And obviously that later on it worked out just fine. But I mention all this because we talked about Evan Williams having another good camp. We talked about Bullard making some plays here or there, although we see him as a slot more than a safety. He'll he'll be our third safety on the depth chart, essentially, is what it sounds like. So Xavier McKinney, it sounds like he came in here on the NFL top 100 players of 2025 as the 30th best player, Tim. So in 2024, McKinney recorded 8 interceptions without allowing a single touchdown as the nearest defender in coverage. That is the most by any safety in a season since at least 2016. So what he's doing right now, I would love to see how many safeties rank ahead of him. Obviously, as the list wraps up,
yeah,
we'll find out. But yeah, I'm just so glad he's a Packer for at least the next 3 years. Who knows, man? Maybe longer.
He was the best guy around.
I'm with it, man. Absolutely. And I know what you mean about the leadership attributes too, right? And he seems pretty mature for a 27-year-old, right? Just generally speaking. I've seen it at camp, even when he was, not suited up and not running out there. He was talking to Coach Downer. He was, working the sideline, talking to Javon Bullard, talking to Evan Williams, fully engaged all the time. That's leadership, 100% of the time that you're, on that field in a uniform, whether you're playing or not, you find a way to contribute. And I think X does that both on and off the field, and that's what makes him a great leader. But, the tail of the tape doesn't lie. One could even argue 30 might be a little low for him. One might argue he'd be a top 25, maybe top 20 player in this league. But to see him inside this list is great. And I love your point too. Like, it'll be interesting to see who's listed higher than him when it comes to safety players, on this list.
I imagine Kyle Hamilton will.
Sure.
He's obviously a solid. We could pull up PFF and probably pick them out. We could probably find the ones that are going to be higher than McKinney. But again, man, McKinney, what he did to this defense and helping Jeff Hafley in his first year, and Hafley helping him too. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't just all the players, right? Hafley's a great defensive mind. So glad he's here for the time being. So not so cool in the chat says Woodson should have retired a Packer though. Here's the thing about that.
He was always a Raider, right, Clay?
And that's the thing. He wanted to go back to the Raiders. Now he wanted to stay in Green Bay too. Don't get me wrong. It's my understanding, Tim, that we didn't even offer him a contract. We were just like, we're just going to move on. Now, he would have probably played for less, but we're going to move on. Again, I'm not saying I would have done it that way. I'm just simply saying from precedent standards. That's why I'm mentioning this with McKinney because obviously you're willing to cut ties with Charles Woodson and another one too, Jordy Nelson, right?
Yeah.
Jordy Nelson, and they nailed it, guys. Listen, the people that were critical of Brian Gutekunst coming in his first year and kind of cleaning the slate and, all right, Jordy, you're out of here. This player's out of here. Got rid of, I think was he the one who got rid of Charles? Or was that around the same time?
Oh, don't quote me on that. Or was that Ted Thompson?
I'm
trying to remember.
Yeah. Anyway.
Who made that decision? It might have been Ted.
But when they let go of Jordy, many people don't know this. They didn't even offer Jordy a contract. I want to say it was a minimum is what it was. I think Aaron spilled the beans on that. Was they just offered him a minimum contract, and he would have stayed for a lot less, right? Yep. And again, so it looks. J. Cole says Ted Thompson. If that's correct, yeah, everybody's saying Ted. So here's the thing with that though, and I know you guys aren't saying this, but typically the argument is, well, that's not Ted. This is Brian Gutekunst. That's not Ted Thompson, guys. Brian Gutekunst's mentor was Ted Thompson.
Yeah.
Just like when we would say, oh, it's Ted Thompson, it's not Ron Wolf. Ted Thompson came up through the Ron Wolf school, right? Like these are all guys from the same tree. Now they do things that maybe a little bit different. Immediately people will say, well, Goody's more aggressive in free agency than Ted Thompson. I don't agree with that. I remember that first year when he went out and got Ryan Pickett. I remember when he went out and got, you remember when he got Julius Peppers just overnight? It didn't even get reported. All of a sudden, there was pictures being posted of Julius Peppers in Lambeau Field looking around. It's like, what? We just got Julius Peppers? Like, he went out and made some free agent signings, right? So maybe Goody is a little more willing to go into free agency than Ted, but it's not much in my opinion because he pulled some strings there, man, with some of those free agent signings coming down the stretch to get the Packers over the hump. To obviously, hell, we just talked Charles Woodson. Ted Thompson signed Charles Woodson, right, in free agency. So, yeah,
it's so true. I mean, if you look at especially in the front offices around this league, that they tend to promote from within, right? You're not going to have a guy, basically be an understudy to a GM and not seriously consider him to be the replacement when it's time to make a decision, right? We see it with coaching staffs all the time. Coaching trees, we talk about it all the time. So it's not that uncommon. And I don't know. It's kind of cool when you really look back and think at it because, we got a Super Bowl in the Ted Thompson era. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get a Lombardi in the Brian Gutekunst era too. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Respect Orange says Tay was there to replace Jordy, but they should have found someone to replace Tay. The thing about the Devontae Adams things is tough because they tried to play hardball with Devontae Adams, and they thought, okay, let's lowball him. And they came in, what was it like? I want to say it was below $20 million per, and pissed Tay off. And Tay was like, "Well, I'm not re-signing." And I think they thought, Tim, we'll franchise tag him, we'll work the deal out. So they end up offering him more money than what he got with the Raiders. But at that time, Tay was mad. Tay was like, "I'm out. I'm done." So they really never did get a chance to replace him. Like they said, Tay was there to replace Jordy, but they never found a replacement for Tay. It's a great point. Respect Oranges. I think that's a very, very fair point. A couple other here in the chat I want to hit on. Not So Cool says, that's true. Donovan Devontae should have retired a Packer. I agree. I somewhat agree with it, but it's one of those things. They offered him the contract, Tim, so they thought it was worth it, to pay more than the Raiders. But this is what Aaron was talking about, and it's why it got so toxic with the fan base, and fans, got mad when you point this out, that this is what Aaron was talking about, is like them mistreating the older players on their way out. I think it's true. I think it's true to a certain extent. You've seen it with Devontae firsthand that, hey, they lowballed him, ticked him off. They basically hit, in Devontae's words, and I did a show on this when I first started podcasting. Devontae's words were, they told me, let's go out and prove it one more year. And Devontae's like, after everything I've done, you're going to make me prove it one more year? No, I'm done. So I can understand his standpoint, but I can also see the Packers standpoint as well. But they did get kind of caught in no man's land there, expecting him to accept that better offer. And he told him no. And I kind of respect Devontae for it, because he stood his ground. Like, you know what? No, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the page.
You see that with a lot of players in the modern era, right? And It's not just the Packers. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that do that. They lowball veterans, or they, it's not just a Green Bay thing, right, Clay? We've seen this in other organizations across the league too.
Yeah. Chris Cashwin says, there you go. Thank you for changing it back, Chris. You're the man. He said leadership allowed Ted Thompson to stay in power a little too long. It depends on what you truly believe was happening behind the scenes, Chris. Like, I agree. It was so tough to see Ted's health decline, man. I was a big Ted Thompson stan. I loved Ted Thompson. I loved everything he represented. I loved how he would give players a second chance who had been in trouble before. He seemed like he had a good heart. My respect went up for him immensely when Brett Favre, after all the smoke had settled on all the, the problems, and obviously Brett leaving and going to the Vikings and this and that. When Brett came into Lambeau and beat the Packers with the Vikings, he said the first person that texted him was Ted Thompson, said, "Congratulations, great game." Like that tells me everything I need to know about Ted Thompson. He's just a stand-up guy. Yes. Now, behind the scenes, Chris, it was my understanding that his staff was kind of heading everything up as a whole, as a group, right? And they didn't want to just I love the fact, Tim, that they didn't go, "Ted, buddy, it's gotten bad, you're out of here." Instead, everybody got together and was like, "Hey, we see what's happening here. Ted knows what's happening. Let's let him go out on his own terms here, and we'll all kind of."
That was so awesome.
Run his thing. Yeah,
what did they do? He was a senior football advisor or something. They gave him a position, and that was handled with class. I think I agree.
Yeah. And on the outside, it was like, this guy shouldn't be the general manager. I don't think he was truly like calling all the shots.
No, Goody probably was.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As soon as Ted retired because of the health, right, and he stepped down, what happened? Goody came in and got rid of Jordy and got rid of some of these older players. It was like, okay,
it's almost like Ted never left, right?
Right, exactly. So that's how I remember it anyway. And I could be a little off of my memory there somewhat, but man, Ted Thompson, what an amazing human being. And I heard Wildy say this the other day, and he did specify. I got a gnat in here, it's driving me crazy. He did specify, like, he didn't know for sure, but he wondered if Ted Thompson's, cognitive decline was from playing football, because people don't know that. They look at Ted and they see the gray hair and they think, oh yeah, this keeps skating, this and that. He was a dog. He played linebacker, right, in the NFL.
Yep. So you say that about Mark Murphy too, right? Hard hitting safety.
Oh yeah, and I think isn't it amazing? Like that portion of the fan base, and they're a very, very loud minority in our fan base, that they talked about Ted Thompson like he was just the stupidest football mind on the face of the planet. they talk about Mark Murphy like he's this big bumbling idiot. Both of those guys played defense in the NFL when it was, I'm talking about one of the toughest eras. Like,
Yeah.
I would love for those tough guys on the internet that dogged those guys and acted like they weren't worth a crap to be able to just take a quick time machine back to them in their prime and say that to their face, because they were men of men, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm just I love, man. I absolutely love. I love this team and love everything they represent. And Ted Thompson is one of those dudes that's just seeing them be able to hoist that Lombardi after he had to make those tough decisions to move on from Brett and give Aaron this shot and just kind of stick to the plan and to see that kind of come to fruition was absolutely awesome, man. So, the moment you choose loyalty to your players over the right decision, you turn into the Vikings. Overplaying old guys, you won't get much production from. I think that's pretty well said, man. It's a cutthroat business, you know. And listen, they get to play a kid's game for a ransom. You know what I mean? For a ton of money. But
right.
when old man old age comes calling, you know.
Well, let's not forget, we talk about how brutal this game is. Even in today's era, with all the rule changes and the new technology, the better medical staffs, guys get hurt all the time, right? And you know, you see guys that retire from this game at 30-something years old, and they've got the knees and the back of a 70-year-old man from playing football, throughout their youth and into their adulthood. So I think it's important as fans that we remember that. This sport will take a toll on you, and even the greatest that have ever done it. Ultimately, Father Time catches up with everybody, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Last one here, guys. Six shot. We'll call him shot. Six shot says, I was there at Lambeau Atrium when Thompson picked Rodgers in 2005. The whole atrium booed. What a pick. Yeah, and
yeah,
I love
you got Favre who's going to take you to a Super Bowl.
I wish
and
we
you
still
got
had.
Rodgers that's going to take you to a toilet bowl. I remember that.
We got to
get that clip back, man.
Yeah, got to. And I remember where I was at in Knoxville, Tennessee, running a carpet restoration company. And I was a young whippersnapper. And I remember listening to that draft on the radio on a little headset with AA batteries and a radio, right? So I remember that's how, yeah. And there was probably better technological advancements to listen to it, Tim, but I was
you had
young.
that little one with the little headphone jack, the little small
Oh
one.
yeah, you kidding me? And once the jack wore out, you had to kind of turn it just right.
Yeah,
to
it's
get
kind of like a walkie-talkie. Yeah,
absolutely, man. So yeah, I remember when they made the pick, and as it got closer to the Packers picking, I was screaming, draft Rodgers. Like, this is perfect. Are you kidding me? Brett's going to be, his time's coming, and have this guy learn under Brett. I was over the moon when they took him, because the night before the draft, everybody expected Aaron to go to the 49ers. He was going to be the top quarterback.
I didn't expect him to be on the board when we were picking.
Awesome, man. So, yeah, Ted Thompson, man. Rest in peace, Ted. Thank you for everything you've done for this organization. My goodness.
Amen.
All right, Tim, let's get out of here. Appreciate your time, man. You got anything else you want to hit before we go?
No, just catching up. Oh, here, respect oranges. Why would you pick Love when you had Rodgers? Boo.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Same sentiment, right? I think history has proven we've done okay, right? So just relax and enjoy the show, guys, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And Eric Sutherland, this is why I don't play fantasy football. He says, my love for the Packers is why I suck at fantasy football. I only draft Packers. That's
Amen.
me. Yeah.
Amen.
Like, okay, which Packer makes sense in this round? And I'm wondering why I'm dead last in the standings.
Yep.
That's why I stopped doing it too. So, but which reminds me, Patreon group. I think we've still got a few more slots left in the second league. It's so cool. We filled the first league up so fast, and now we get the second league almost full. So if you guys want to be a part of our PTA Fantasy Football League, League 2, just go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access and let the guys know in there. Okay. And it gets $3, get you access to the site there for Patreon. You get all the extra content, all that good stuff. It also gets you entered into the giveaways, which this week we got to decide what we're giving away, Tim. We got some goodies here, man.
We got some cards.
You know what? Let's do it. He's having a hell of a camp. Let's go with the Lucas Van Ness autographed rookie card. How about that?
I love it.
All right. So there you go. That'll be the giveaway this week. And again, all you got to do is be a member of the $3 tier there. on Patreon or be a member here on YouTube. I would recommend Patreon because obviously you get more bang for your buck there. It's a way for us to give back to those who are supporting the channel. So that being said, we're out of here, guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Time for PTA Live, where we'll give you guys all the updates. We got open practice tomorrow, Tim?
Yes, sir. I'll
There
be
you
there
go.
nice and early.
All right, Tim's going to be boots on the ground at practice tomorrow, so he'll be able to give us kind of a firsthand take on what he saw at practice. I'm sure we'll get some great footage, all that good stuff. So it'll be a fun show tomorrow. So we'll see y'all then. Everybody have a wonderful night, and God bless.
There we go.
Nice.
Bye, guys.